It's time for the thing that I've procrastinated for quite a while now, and that is my Skeleton Crew review. So Skeleton Crew, obviously, the newest Star Wars show, and I thought it was really fun, right? Like this is honestly what Star Wars should be. When we talk about George Lucas making the original trilogy, people are always like, this doesn't feel like Star Wars. Like, Skeleton Crew's good, but it doesn't feel like Star Wars. Andor's good, but it doesn't feel like Star Wars. Y'all, that's true. But my first thing I want to say is stop being obsessed with it needs to feel like Star Wars. Let it be entertainment. Let it be Star Wars. As long as they treat the characters the way that they should, that's good enough for me. As long as the stories are good, it doesn't have to feel like Star Wars. What does that even mean? Like, you can't just say, this doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. I see a lot of people say stuff like that about shows. It just doesn't feel like Star Wars. That's dumb to me. You can't judge a show by how much it feels like a different movie to you, especially when it's directed by different people. So there's that. I will say that George Lucas originally made Star Wars for young boys. It was for 9 to 12-year-old boys. That's what those movies were for. And this show is that same idea, right? It's the same target audience. And so for me, it felt the most like that original trilogy and that prequel trilogy. It wasn't the most complex storytelling, right? And it wasn't the craziest action, but it was still quite good in all of those departments. And really, this show did what a lot of the other ones haven't done, and that is not get blasted by everyone on the internet. So, that's good. I think that the kids did an incredible job acting as those main characters. They definitely managed to bring out the emotion in the characters and complete those small story arcs that the characters did have. They weren't like super giant or complex or anything, but they were still really good in this show. And then of course we've got Jod Nanawood, and again, people being rude, I think, and overreacting to different things. He uses the Force, everyone's like, oh my gosh, another Jedi survived Order 66, that's dumb. How come there are so many Jedi survived Order 66? We just keep getting more and more and more of them. Well, remember that there were tens of thousands of Jedi before Order 66. Tens of thousands. So the odds that, 30 of them survive is super high. You're gonna get 100 to 200 survivors out of that 10,000, 20,000 group of Jedi. It's an entire galaxy. It's not that hard to hide for a little bit. And then, come to find out, Jod isn't actually even a survivor of Order 66. He was trained by a survivor of Order 66 who was hunted down by the Inquisitors. And keep in mind, this actually helps my point. The Inquisitorius, an entire group of 12 trained lightsaber duelists, was created specifically to hunt down Jedi who survived Order 66. You don't make that if there's 3 Jedi that survive. You don't make the Inquisitorius if there's 4 or 5 Jedi that survive. You need a good 100 Jedi for that Inquisitorius to be worth it, and to be working all the way up to where Rebels ends, which is pretty close to A New Hope. There's gonna have to be a lot of Jedi that survived and a lot of Jedi that needed to be taken down for the Inquisitorius to be worth existing and creating. So anyway, Jod's character makes sense. I thought he was played really well, and I was actually really glad that they did not give him kind of a redemption arc at the end. They kept his character consistent the whole time, which was cool because I thought that he was for sure going to, turn and save the kids in the end. He didn't. And that was actually surprising for me, the fact that he didn't get the redemption arc, which was enjoyable to me. Talking about the soundtrack, Mick Giacchino, son of Michael Giacchino, did a great job. Rising star, I think, in the soundtrack industry. Already done a couple of high-profile things. Keep your eye on Mick Giacchino. He's gonna, if I could buy stock in soundtrack composers, I'm getting some in Mick Giacchino, because it's not gonna be that high right now. It's gonna be high later. Last thing, let's see here. If I'm gonna give this a rating, let's see, Skeleton Crew, I'd go 8. As far as Star Wars shows go, and I think I probably, I'll just do it here. A lot of people have hated a lot of the Star Wars shows because they've said it's too simple, it's, it looks small. Well, take a look at the prequels. First off, talk about looking like a green screen. And then second off, y'all are always, especially talking about Boba Fett, y'all are like, this isn't what I thought Boba Fett would be like. But when I'm watching that, to me, that entire story just felt like it was Jon Favreau playing around with his, his action figures. Like, you got Boba Fett over here, he's playing around, you get Fennec Shand, there's this cool new group of motorcyclists that are playing around. Oh, there's a Rancor, oh, there's Mando. And sure, some of the storytelling stuff, having Grogu come back in that show doesn't make sense, but it's just fun, right? It feels fun. It feels like stuff you would imagine these characters doing as a kid. And again, this franchise is designed to make us feel like kids. It's not like Marvel where it's cussing all over the place, stuff like that. No, Star Wars is designed to make you feel like a kid because it's designed for kids. And this show hit the nail on the head both ways. Played for kids, played well. And, At-Atten is really interesting. It's going to be interesting where they go with that in the future. I think Skeleton Crew Season 2 should definitely exist. I think it'll be exciting to see them as teenagers. Some of the stuff that they played in this show a little bit, they play it bigger in Season 2. It could be exciting. So, yeah, that's it for this episode of Trivia Radio. I'm giving it an 8, remember, for Skeleton Crew. I'll see y'all next time. Farewell, friends.